in the strange city. It was quite small, but it felt like such a big city. While it was busy and rich, there was also many poor people, including numerous homeless people wandering the street. I hoped to go to America, but I ended up being kidnapped and brought to Hong Kong. I didn't have any money on me. I didn't know if I could survive here, not to mention go to America. I began to look at the hiring flyers on the wall. Teamsters, engineers, masseurs, a lot of places were hiring, but I didn't know how to do any of the jobs. One day, I saw there's a nightclub looking for a pub singer. The club was called Melody Hall. It sat in the middle of the most popular location on Portland Street in Bangkok. The club was huge. The guests all dressed like royalty. Everyone came to audition for the job was sitting in the lobby, waiting for their turn. Several middle-aged men were sitting below the stage, looking terribly bored. I chose to sing one of my favorite songs when it was my turn. It was a folk song from my hometown, called Little Lamb Billy. After my parents passed away, my brother and I were sent to the orphanage. For a long time afterwards, Carlos seemed to have to shut down entirely. He could sit there for an entire day without saying a single word. He was only 3. There was nothing near the orphanage but hills and mountains. I tried to take him hiking, and would talk to him on top of the mountain or sing to him. We would stay there the whole day sometimes. However, he still wasn't talking. One day, when I was singing, I suddenly thought to myself, was this going to last forever? Would Carlos never talk to me again? I had to stop the song. I couldn't stop from thinking depressing thoughts. I cried. Why are you crying, Alicia? Carlos was pulling on my arm. I saw him looking at me with clear eyes. That day, he finally returned to me. The song I'd been singing that day was Little Lamb Billy. I stood in front of the elevator. I was thinking about the song I just sang, and the days when we lived in the orphanage. I couldn't help but hum it again. I felt a sudden tap on my shoulder. It was one of the men who had been sitting below the stage earlier. Miss, there is something you should know. His eyes were almost shut as he smiled at me. It is quite a hassle to hire a foreigner like you with no papers. You'll be able to find another job in old Hong Kong. However, I think you are really terrific. I would love to hire you, as long as you. As he was speaking, his hand moved down from my shoulder along my back. It kept moving even further. I was taken aback and tried to move away, but he grabbed my wrist. I'd never been in a situation like this in my entire life. I was horrified. I tried to shake him off with all my strength. I scratched his face with my nails, leaving a red mark. He felt his face with his hand as I was running away. You ungrateful little bitch! You people! Go grab her! I ran into a small alley and hid behind a dumpster. After what seemed to be an eternity, I could no longer hear the people running after me. I fell to the ground. I felt violated and ashamed. Tears were rushing out of my eyes as if all my suffering had come back to haunt me. Carlos, I miss you so much. Alicia.
I've been assigned here for a week. For the past few days, I had been trying to find an opportunity to write my transfer application and submit it to Lieutenant King. Yet every time when I sat down and tried to fill out the form, Lieutenant King would throw a bunch of paperwork at me and make me file them. It was almost like he knew what I was up to. None of this made any sense at all. As a police officer, shouldn't I be patrolling the city to stop crimes and helping people with everything I had? Even be ready to sacrifice myself for justice at a moment's notice? But this was so boring. Thank God I could still sometimes chat with Officer Minjun, a more senior officer in Unit 4, or I would have exploded out of boredom by now. Usually at this point, Minjun would say, "I'll lend you a grenade then." Minjun liked making these kinds of morbid firearm jokes, although I rarely found them funny. Life sucked. I poured myself another glass and chugged it. I was at a bar called Crash, where I would always come whenever I was feeling down. Every day after midnight, the bar would turn into a carnival. But around sunset, the atmosphere here was actually really nice, and it was the best time to come here and drink alone. I was sitting by the window and staring at the street blankly. Some words from the conversation at the next table suddenly caught my attention. A bald man in a Hawaiian shirt raised his bottle and said, "Bro, have you heard about what happened to Group Gangman a few days ago?" His buddy, who was wearing a pair of beach shorts and sporting the most ridiculous hairstyle, laughed. "Of course. It's been heard all over our group. You see him. That was really brutal for them to blow off half the head of Choi Yo-san's son. Only Kang Boyakia has the balls to do that." My ears perked up when I heard Lieutenant Kang's name out of the blue like that. The bald man continued. "I think he was pretty rad. That bastard was always so fucking annoying. He would come to our turf all the time looking for trouble just because of his good old daddy." The crazy-haired guy interrupted him. "Shut the fuck up, you idiot. Don't let anyone hear you say that. You're gonna get Boss Jew in trouble." The bald man immediately concurred. "Oh, sure. By the way, I've also heard that Choi Yahan is setting up a trap for Kang Baekya. It's going to be epic." The crazy-haired guy sounded surprised. "Hey, watch it. Don't get so close to me." "Wait, what did you mean by setting up a trap?" The bald man explained. "I heard that they had something on Kang Baekya, and they'll use it to force to turn himself over. You can guess what they're going to do to him next. I think it is supposed to be going down tonight over at the warehouses by the port." The crazy-haired guy didn't seem like he was buying it. "Really? You think that would work? King was so tough enough to take out a whole team on his own." The bald man got excited. "We'll find out. And apparently, they've prepared barrels and concrete. And I've heard something about some other big surprise. Anyway, no matter which side loses, our boss Jew will be happy either way. I bet he's been looking forward to this day for a long time." I sobered up completely. I quickly checked my cell phone. It was 9 p.m. Contrary to popular belief, people don't sober up in the morning. Now that I thought about it, Lieutenant King had gotten a delivery earlier today, and he had left the office soon afterwards. Did the delivery had anything to do with the trap? I knew I didn't quite get along with Lieutenant King, but no matter what, he was on the side of justice. Now that I knew he was in danger, there's no way I could just sit aside and let it happen. I sneaked into the bathroom and immediately called the lieutenant. Nobody picked up. I then called the police station. Someone told me that nobody from Unit 4 was available. I had a really bad feeling. I didn't get in touch with the lieutenant as soon as possible. The door opened and a person walked out. My reaction had been slowed down because of the alcohol. The young man who had just come out of the stall grabbed me by my hair and slammed me into the mirror above the sinks. Clank. The mirror was smashed and there was broken glass all over the ground. Just before I passed out, I heard someone say, "You dirty cop, are you trying to snitch on our turf? Screw you." When I woke up, I found myself lying in a big empty warehouse. The gate was locked from the outside. I could see the evening stars through the windows high above the wall. Oh man, how long have I been out? Is Lieutenant King already at the port?
That's always my thing. Just switch them first and see what happens.
I turned around It was Officer Minjun. Thank God you are here, sir. Minjun seemed shocked after I told him about what I had just heard outside. He said the lieutenant might still be at his own place. It wasn't too far from here. We should hurry over and see if we could catch him in time. With Minjun leading the way, we were running as fast as we could towards Lieutenant King's home. Then we came across a small dark alley without any lights. Minjun seemed to be out of breath and he slowed down. He pointed at the 2-story apartment building not too far in front of us and told me that it was Lieutenant King's building. I decided to keep going. But before I could run more than a few steps, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in the back of my head. I felt dizzy and lost my balance. I couldn't even see the road anymore. I fell to the ground and blacked out. When I woke up, it was almost daylight. Officer Minjun was lying next to me. Neither of us seemed to have our wallets. Oh man, how could this happen? Was Lieutenant King already?
Someone unusually tall walked out of the elevator, wearing an even more unusual ensemble. A pair of red heels, tight black leather pants, a lavish fur coat. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. I walked past this person to the elevator and pressed the button for the first floor. The person kept walking to the lobby. So we placed both of them on Alicia's side. So I don't think we want Minjun and him to also find another person.
I checked the time again. It was already 9:30 p.m. It wasn't safe to go straight to the port, as I didn't know how many people the enemy had. I hadn't received my weapon yet, as this was my first week, and it wouldn't be terribly useful for me personally, but it would still be better than nothing. I should at least go back to the station and check out a gun. Perhaps I could even find some backup. I hoped I could make it in time. I left the bar. A cold breeze blew over my face. I shuddered and felt myself sobering up a little more. I hailed a cab. I kept urging the driver to speed up. In the end, it took me 30 minutes to arrive rather than the usual 60. Barf. As soon as I opened the door, I threw up all over the ground. The old driver looked at me emotionlessly and handed me the bill and a napkin. I just ran through over 3 red lights for you. I'll give you a discount for being a police officer.
Miss, there's something you should know. One of the men who had been sitting below the stage earlier tapped on my shoulder. His eyes were almost shut as he smiled at me. It is quite a hassle to hire a foreigner like you who has no papers. You won't be able to find another job in all of Hong Kong. However, I think you are really terrific. I would love to hire you as long as you. As he was speaking, his hand was moving down from my shoulder along my back and kept moving down further. I was taken aback and tried to move away, but he grabbed my wrist. I had never been in a situation like this my entire life. I was horrified. I tried to shake him off with all my strength. I scratched his face with my nails, leaving a red mark. He let go of me and felt his face with his hand. You ungrateful little bitch. You. Hey, that was M. Embarrassing. Someone who just got out of the elevator stood in front of me. A pair of red heels, tight black leather pants, a lavish fur coat. If it weren't for the voice, no one would have guessed it was a man wearing them if they saw him from behind. The manager of Melody Hall would dare do something like this in public. What would your boss say if he heard about this? Fine, just not my lucky day then. The manager shot me a stern look and turned around, walked back into the lobby. The cross-dressing man turned to me, smiling widely. Hello, pretty little girl. Would you like to go get a drink at my place? Well, I guess we had someone save her. You asked me how deeply I love you.
What are you doing?
I'm singing.
Oh, I didn't know you could sing. What's the name of the song?
The moon represents my heart. story about her singing, all of a sudden a lot of music just popped into my head out of nowhere. So I was thinking, maybe I was a singer before I died.
Before you died?
I've heard stories about some people become gods when they die with unfulfilled wishes. That must be why I know these songs, right?
Usually ghost stories and god stories.
Although if that had been the case, wouldn't my power have something to do with singing?
What do you mean?
For example, what if my singing has healing powers? Or maybe my song can bring peace to people at war?
How imaginative. We've been alive for a long time. There's nothing strange about us knowing some songs. You're just supposed to know everything. If it weren't for your memory loss, I'm sure you would remember even more.
Well, that makes sense. I guess I was never a singer. I feel sad.
I didn't know you wanted to be a singer so much. Look, I made you some Lasmanthus cake.
Wow!
Nothing's more powerful than sweets. Enjoy the cake. Remember to do your work after you finish your snack. See you later.
Wait, I haven't heard you sing yet. Before you go, sing me something.
I will not.
You are my serpent. You cannot say no to my request.
No.
Wait, you agreed to be my servant. Well then, what if I serve you some tea?
I made the tea.
How about I wash your feet?
I just washed them myself.
Well, would you like me to comb your hair?
What do you like to hear? Name it.
Your face looks almost twisted. Well, let me think. What do you think? Well, you already heard that from her, so let's go with this one.
These are all songs that Teresa sang. Why don't you pick something more exciting, more hardcore? You liked her music ever since you were little.
Since I was little?
Oh no, I mean, you've always liked her music. Anyway, I happen to know this one. Listen up. I'm gonna sing it now. If I never met you, where would I be? My darling, can you hear me? Please don't leave me. That you nearby and no longer feel love is lies. What do you think?
I've been curious. Why is it the only sound we make when we talk a single beat? Even the tone is always the same. Even when we're singing, it's nothing more than some rhythmic beeping.
We're only now noticing that? Well, we are gods after all, not humans. We have our own unique qualities. We should focus on them. Speaking of which, how's work been recently?
Oh, it's been going pretty well. My only complaint is there's so many letters. I've been putting a lot of all-nighters to finish them.
You don't have to work that hard. They're not on the same timeline as the humans. It doesn't really matter to them when we handle their letters. The most important thing about being a god is to enjoy yourself
And watch people get hit with salted fish.
and play with balls.
Oh, I like the salted fish. Give a cat a gun, give a man a salted fish, and it's like, bam, perfect. I'm playing further in the game. It feels so great to help people. I'm really happy.
Okay, then, as long as you are happy. Oh, by the way, haven't we forgotten about something important?
What? Important thing?
Comb.
Ah, there are new letters here. I need to start working.
Knew it.
Brushy, 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 brushy.
有没有搞错？
젠장
Dios,
어떻게 이럴 수가
¿qué hice mal?
Oh, you guessing you want to see Jimmy? Apparently. We're gonna do Alicia's. She doesn't have anything else attached to hers. There was a quiet street in Hong Kong. There was a quarter alley on that street. Quieter alley. At the end of the alley, there was a shop sat its owner, letting peculiar taste of clothes, at least in the opinion of many. I still vividly remember the first time I met him. He was wearing a pair of red high heels, skin-tight black leather pants, and a lavish fluffy fur coat. He always told us to call him Mama. He identified as a man, but preferred dressing as a woman. We all make our choices. He understood more than that most, that being different need not lead to loneliness. Mama had saved my life. Not only had she saved me when I was being harassed by Herbert, he let me work in his coffee shop. And he paid me 3,000 Hong Kong dollars a month. It wasn't much in Hong Kong, but I got to live in the coffee shop, so I could save up most of my salary and send it back to my brother. I hoped it could help pay for school. There were a few other misfits like me, who Mama had taken under his wing. Hank, who could never tell ketchup apart from jalapeno sauce. Raja, who couldn't help singing whenever he picked up a goblet. Jack, who would always wipe the table twice. We all had different colored skins. We didn't speak each other's languages, but we've been learning from each other as well. We'd often talk to each other in English, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Spanish all at once. Miraculously, we usually managed to understand each other pretty well. We always had a great time together. We shared the same bedroom, 2 bunk beds. Jack slept on my top bunk, and Hank Raja slept in the other one. Jack was only 15. He had curly blonde hair and a pair of clear blue eyes. Carlos was a few years younger than him. When we had been in the orphanage, he and I slept in a bunk bed like this too. That was why I liked to stare at the top bunk before I fell asleep, and imagine that it was a 15-year-old Carlos sleeping up there. However, the peaceful days didn't last for long. Only Jack and I were in the shop that day. He had taken out the trash out the back door. Moments later, I heard muffled sound of fighting and yelling in the back. I ran out the back door and saw a couple of strong men pinning Jack to the ground, tying his feet and hands behind his back. Jack's lips were bleeding. He seemed to be unconscious. I wanted to run back upstairs and find Raja. I knew he was sleeping in the bedroom. Before I could, someone caught me from behind. My face was covered with a foul-smelling piece of wet cloth. When I woke up, it was already deep into the night. Jack and I were locked in what seemed to be a small warehouse. Jack woke up almost the same time as me. We both looked out the window. We could see the blinking neon lights of a busy Melody Hall. If I remember correctly, this was an auction house opposite Melody Hall. Mom used to tell us that the auction house on the street was not really legitimate. Legendary paintings that had gone missing were illegally smuggled in. The frozen sperm of dead movie stars. Ancient mummies of an undetermined age. Panda bears. Giant pandas are endangered mammals whose only habitat is southwest China. There are fewer than 2,000 giant pandas living in the wild. Because their highly valuable status, gifting or leasing pandas from foreign countries has become a unique diplomatic operation for China, the so-called panda diplomacy. The earliest such transactions could be dated back to 685 AD, when Empress Consort Wu of the Tang Dynasty gifted 2 pandas to the Japanese Emperor Tenmu, along with 70 panda hides. The more exotic-looking young boys and girls. As long as there was a buyer, there was nothing they wouldn't sell. We couldn't stay here. I had been through this once. This time, I felt calm. I had to get myself out here, and I would take Jack with me too. There's only one guard in the hallway. I slammed the door again and come over. I told him Jack stopped breathing. He didn't think too much of it. He thought we were just a couple kids. So he opened the door, crouched down next to Jack, who was playing dead. He reached out to feel Jack's breath. I pulled the gun out of his waistband and pushed it against the back of his head. Then, we gagged his mouth, tied his feet, and hands behind him, locked him inside the room before we snuck downstairs. We didn't run into anyone on our way down to the reception desk. Just when I was about to celebrate our good fortune, someone yelled at us from behind. I turned around and saw a sleepy man holding a mug. He rubbed his eyes and slammed the mug onto the reception desk when he saw our faces. The alarm went off. I grabbed Jack's hand and we started running to the port as fast as we could. 4, maybe 5 guys came after us from the auction house. There were lots of warehouses and small roads near the port that made a complex maze. We had to play cat and mouse with our chasers before we could find a secure hiding space. The southwest corner of the port, there was this recycling center. The center had a fenced-in lot with piles of garbage in it. Only a couple overtime workers were operating the crane. They lift a dumpster high up, then dump everything into the lot. There was many extra-large dumpsters outside the lot. Jack and I split up earlier. I waved at him from a distance to come over. The dumpster was empty. "Stop hiding, we saw you." "I'm over here." I tried to draw attention to myself. They opened the cover of the dumpster. I walked out from the cargo container not too far behind them. I tried to distract them. However, they had already opened the dumpster and seen Jack hiding inside. They didn't tie us up to avoid attracting too much attention. Instead, they surrounded us and marched to the auction house. If we didn't follow their orders, the guns at the waistbands would make us regret it. I fell into a deep despair. Jack must have been so frightened too. I looked at him, but for a moment I thought I must have been mistaken. I thought I just caught him smiling. We were close enough to see the auction house when one of the guards' phones rang. Everyone was temporarily distracted, including me, but a gunshot interrupted the ringing. A guard had already fallen down. A bullet had just gone through his head. Jack had just shot him with a smile on his face. He had someone taken a gun from the guard. Then he turned around and shot a second guard in the chest. He didn't waste any of the bullets. It was almost like magic. Soon, all 5 guards were laying on the ground. Jack looked at me with a casual expression on his face. "Alicia, let's get out of here." I was still in shock at what just happened, and before I could say okay, I heard another gunshot from farther away, and then a splashing sound nearby. Jack dropped to his knees, then slowly collapsed. Bright red was oozing out of a small hole in the middle of his forehead. The young man with the mug was standing behind us at a distance. Only this time he was carrying a gun instead of a mug. He started walking slowly towards us. I held my hands to my head and dropped to the ground sobbing. "Heavenly Father, why on earth would you let this happen to us? What have we done wrong?" Alicia. I wonder if we just make the dumpster that they open empty. Does that make a difference? I walked out from behind the cargo container, not far away, and tried to distract them. However, they already opened the dumpster cover. "There's no one inside." "You fool! Go get the girl!" They tied me up again. They went to look for Jack for a long time, but couldn't find him anywhere. In the end, they decided to take me back first. On the way, I saw a shadow from the corner of my eye. I looked up. A huge dumpster had been lifted up and emptied into a recycling center. I noticed a small body whirl out with the garbage. None of the guards were aware of it. They never realized the person they looked for right under their noses. Jack always reminded me of my brother. I'd often change my name to change my shift to the same one as him. Unlike Carlos, Jack never talked too much. However, I still tried to chat with him. After a while, we started to talk more and more with each other, although rarely mentioned anything about himself. Once I accidentally saw a horrifying burn scar on his back while he was changing. That's a story he didn't want to think about. Another time, I asked him what he would like to become when he was older. He pondered for a while and said, "A policeman, or maybe a doctor." The look on his face was almost like he had been looking at an ocean of blossoming flowers. He had been enchanted by the hypnotizing scent of the flowers. The warm summer breeze was kissing his exquisite blonde hair, and the glowing sunlight was shining inside his sky blue eyes. He almost looked like an angel to me at that moment. I knew he was not just saying that. He had a lot of books. When he wasn't working, he would always be reading in his bedroom. Even when he was on a shift, he would sit behind the bar and read. There was nothing he customers. He spent all his earnings on books. Although I didn't think one could be a policeman or a doctor only through self-learning, still I believed Jack, my little angel, would be able to do it. So I believed that if he did his best, his dream would come true. We got one of them out there that worked, I guess.
是不是我做错了什么？
Dios, ¿qué debería hacer?
It looks like we unlocked Carlos and Lee Wen there. We also have Jimmy and Kang Beckiao. Who do we go for? Okay. read, Carlos? Because the other person is a girl.
I brought Yi to the auction house. She was still braining up and barely conscious. I handed her to the boss there, a middle-aged fat man named Lucky Zhao, who had a full mouth of gold teeth. Usually when the gang mentioned taking care of someone without additional instructions, it meant to bring the girls to the auction house. Basically, I was only asked to do the legwork. As for the girls who had been taken care of, they had probably all been sold to people abroad. I had heard rumors that besides the legitimate auctions, the house conducted illegal ones in secret too. There are many kinds of outlandish merchandise in this building, and that included humans. Just as I was about to leave, I couldn't control my curiosity anymore. I asked the guy at the front desk, "Hey man, where do these pretty girls get sold to?" The guy put down the stainless steel mug in his hand. "The people brought here by the Black Dragon King? Well, those girls are usually just sent to Southeast Asia." "Southeast Asia? Why there? Are they sent to be housemaids? Are you stupid or something?" "Housemaids? The gang always told us that these girls are to be sent to become human sticks." "Have you even seen a freak show? They have no tongues, eyes, arms, or legs. They have nothing but their torso left, and they're locked in a cage." Human sticks. An extreme form of torture from ancient China, which was said to be used on concubines by the wife. According to records, after Emperor Gaozu of Han died, his queen ordered his favorite concubine to be turned into a rinzai, aka human stick. During the Tang Dynasty, Empress Consort Wu had done the same to a rival concubine before she became the empress. There was a saying at the time, "You might be high at the top one day, but you could fall to the bottom as a human stick." In modern society, there are still criminal rings that kidnap women and children, turn them into human sticks, and sell them to beggar organizations or freak show circuses. It is extremely barbaric. I almost threw up. This was the first time I had ever heard the phrase human sticks, and I eventually figured out what it meant based on his descriptions. I would rather die than live like that. As a Catholic, I had always been taught to do good deeds so that I could be absolved of my sins and go to heaven. After joining the gang, I had done many bad things, but I could never be involved in something so evil. No, I couldn't just let Yi suffer like this. Damn it, if only I hadn't brought her here. These people would never willingly let her go now. I had to get her out of here and then try to explain to Mr. Kwan. "Hey, I just remembered. Mr. Kwan wanted me to tell the girl something." "What for?" "She's on the 4th floor, make it quick." The front desk guy picked up today's Mingpao newspaper and did not look up again. Mingpao is a Chinese language newspaper in Hong Kong, established on May 20th, 1959 by Louis Cha and Shen Pao-Xin. The paper covers local issues in Hong Kong as well as in mainland China and international affairs. The paper supplement Century is among the standouts in Hong Kong newspapers and mainly focuses on discussions of the arts, literature, and political columns. The main demographic of its readership are middle-class families, professionals, and executives, and is considered a signature newspaper for the educated elite. However, some people also regard it as a trademark for pretentiousness. As I was climbing the stairs, I thought that I heard people crying. Were those the girls that were going to be sold? A strange thought suddenly hit me. Could it be possible that Alicia had also been sold here? Just like these unfortunate people? The thought had come out of nowhere, but I felt extremely unsettled. Yi had been locked in a room at the end of the 4th floor. The guard had stepped away for a moment. Her entire body had been burning up. I woke her up and helped her into my own clothes, shorts, and shoes. I kept reminding her to be careful while we snuck out of the building. Poor girl. With a fever like this, she would probably die on the way to Southeast Asia if I didn't help her. I thought she was ready to go when she turned around and hugged me. Did I forget something? Oh, right. I pulled the brimmed hat on my head off and put it on her almost bald head, which had been shaved by Mr. Kwan. It was a real shame that had been done to her. She looked really pretty with her long hair. Yi tried her best, got herself together, and left the room. Well, now that was the difficult part. The auction house was quite big. Not only would it take a while to exit the building, even if she got out, the guards could easily catch up to her while she was still nearby. I had to give her more time to escape. I scoured the room. I couldn't find anything I could wear. Nothing but a long wig. I had never seen a wig before. I found it a little amusing. But there weren't any clothes. I couldn't just be naked, could I? I picked up her dress. The dress ripped in the back. I sat down with my back towards the door. I loosened the hair and let it down. I sat down with nothing but my boxer shorts on. I tried my best to keep calm. There was no other way. The dress ripped apart the moment I tried to put my legs in. Why did I even try it? I knew it wouldn't fit. I shouldn't have kept it intact as a memento. Yeah.
Trying to shove his legs in and get his waist through over your head.
I didn't even know how to put a dress on.
Is that what you would have done if you were in the situation where you're shoving your waist through the whole thing?
Probably. What an idiot I was. I heard footsteps getting closer and closer to the door. I swallowed nervously. I saw the guard's shocked expression through the small window on the door. I heard him scream, and I heard the alarm. He had not been able to leave the building yet, and she was soon brought back. I was thrown out onto the street with nothing but my boxer shorts. Damn it. I couldn't just do nothing and let Yi be sent to a living hell. Lord, please guide me.
Stimulation exams. What in the world is that? Simulation exams. Okay, that makes more sense.
Stimulation.
It's like, what the fuck? With how this story's going, probably, right? Whack. Simulation exams are right around the corner. Everyone was busy preparing for it today. Mr. Wen hadn't mentioned anything about canceling class. However, besides, I was still his assistant to the art class, so I went along. However, the room was empty. There was no one there, not even Mr. Wen. I felt a little disappointed. Just when I was wondering whether I should go back and study. Sit down, time for class. Mr. Wen walked past me, took off his coat, and laid it on the back of a chair near me. Why are you the only one here? Simulation exams tomorrow. Everyone is freaking out about them. I grabbed a chair and sat down. Mr. Wen seemed a little unhappy. Was he going to cancel class? I suppose I should get ready and go back too. What would you like to draw today? Mr. Wen abruptly asked. What would I like to draw? It surprised me that I was hearing this question coming out of his mouth. Something more difficult? I said, hoping that would make me appear motivated. Then draw me. But you would have to pose for a long time. That's too much for me to ask. I didn't want to do that. If I messed up, when I messed it up, he was going to tear me, not the drawing, into pieces. Don't overthink it. Mr. Wen took out his kit, set up the easel, and continued. I'll do a sketch too. I'll draw you. After making sure my ears weren't lying to me, I sprang up from my chair. Wait. Let me go change first. I sprang out of the classroom. I was still sweaty and smelly from playing tennis earlier. I was wearing a sports jacket one size too large because I ordered the wrong one. It would be embarrassing to be drawn like this. Furthermore, the more I thought about it, the more I felt this was like a trap. If I drew him badly, no, not if, when. With his temper, he would almost certainly not let me off the hook easily. Well, I felt like I had turned into a dried fish on a cutting board waiting to be cut up. I opened the locker, picked out a dress that Jing had bought when it was on sale a while ago. She had bought 2 of them and given me one as a present. I had never tried it on before. My school uniform was still drying off at home after laundry day yesterday, so this would have to do for now. I put the dress on. It fit well size-wise. Maybe because it hadn't been washed. I felt a weird itching once I put it on. Mr. Wen showed no reaction to my new outfit. So I began sketching practice. Drawing a portrait was so hard, and my back being itchy kept distracting me. By the time the bell rang, I had barely drawn a rough draft. Mr. Wen put away his sketch. He didn't have to see mine either. He was about to leave the classroom when he stopped at the door. He looked at me and opened his mouth. It looked like he was going to say something, but he didn't. Eventually, he left with a look of disappointment on his face. What the hell was wrong with him? What did I do to him this time? Li Wen. Gotta get rid of the itchy back. I think we probably should have him put the dress on. Cover up that.
The dress was really tight. I looked in at the dress that was wrapped tightly around myself. I could still feel the warmth from Yi's body and smell a faint trace of her scent. I'd never worn a girl's clothes except for my sister's. I felt my face starting to blush.
Why did you wear your sister's clothes?
No, lady. I heard footsteps getting closer and closer to the door. But then they started moving away. A few minutes later, I saw Yi leaving the building through the window. She walked out the gate, turned to her right, and slowly walked out of my sight. If she kept walking in that direction for another couple of kilometers, she would be on the turf of the Blood Gang. I finally felt relaxed. May the Lord bless you, Yi. Now that Yi had gone away, I didn't need to worry about my own escape. When I was at the orphanage, I had always been the fastest kid. We used to go up on the hill to hunt rabbits.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a rabbit is.
Yeah, we know what rabbits are. The other kids would take a whole day, but I only needed 3 hours. I ran out of the room and sprinted toward the stairway. The guard noticed me, but before he could make a sound, I had already jumped down an entire flight. I was able to go down to the first floor with just 3 jumps. I ran past the front desk so fast that the newspaper was blown out of the front desk guy's hands. By the time he realized what had just happened and who that had been, I was already long gone from the auction house. Still, what should I tell Mr. Kwan? I wandered around the streets when I finally noticed people kept giving me strange looks. That was when I realized that I was still wearing Yi's dress. Oh my gosh, that was so embarrassing. I lowered my head and walked quickly towards the less crowded parts of the street, afraid of being seen. I found myself in a strange alley that I had never seen before. At the end of the alley, there was a small coffee shop. The sign looked like a maple leaf, and it said Maple House on it. I was stunned. I seemed to remember that Alicia had mentioned a place like this in her first few letters. Yes, she used to work here. Since Alicia had never mentioned the address of the coffee shop, I had never been able to find it. Yet here it was, right here. Finally, I was about to find my big sister, Alicia. I ran up the stairs of the coffee shop filled with all the excitement in the world, when someone suddenly grabbed both my arms from behind. It was the policeman.
At thought about it for a while and decided it was too embarrassing to change into a dress just for a sketch. I might as well just stick with the oversized jacket. The golden sunlight from the setting shone down on Mr. Wen and me. It felt warm, but not too warm. Mr. Wen's paper rustled lightly in the breeze, as did his hair. He looked so focused, I found myself staring at him without even realizing it. Mr. Wen looked up. Our eyes met silently. When I came to my senses, I lowered my head, and my heart had skipped a few beats. As the bell rang, I reluctantly handed my sketch to him. If you want to tear it up, go ahead. I lost count of how many times he had torn up my drawings. Besides, I was actually pretty bad at this. Mr. Wen handed me his sketch. It wasn't mine, though. It was his. Was that really me? I was speechless. I couldn't find a word in my vocabulary to describe it other than beautiful. I never could imagine that a person who's always so cold and distant would be able to create something so warm and intimate. Suddenly, an idea came to me. I held the sketch in his face and pointed at a random spot. There is a serious problem here, haha. Mr. Wen looked at the sketch puzzled. Before I could take a good look, I took the sketch back. I will not tolerate this kind of thing in my class. I imitated his tone, took a few steps back, and tore up the sketch and threw the pieces into the trash. What a historical moment. I finally turned the tables on him. I quickly ran out of the classroom. Thinking back on how many sketches he shredded, I felt great about getting back at him.
这都是我的错。
Dios, ¿qué hice mal?
We have another Alicia and Li Wen one. Then we have Jimmy and Colin Beck. Who's next? Jimmy? Okay. There you go. Oh! Hey, I just noticed there's a cat on the ladder. This is the first time I've ever seen something like this.
Oh. This must be a doodle that Jimmy sketched on the ladder. If the doodle is very obvious, it might show up on the letters we receive.
What is this that he drew?
I think it's a cartoon cat called Sir Spotty. It was pretty famous in their world. We also have it in our dictionary.
Well, I didn't know he was a painter too. That's impressive.
Something like this barely qualifies him as a painter. Today was Sunday. Climbed out of bed a lot earlier than usual. I wanted to try my brand new VR game before Rocky woke up. Yeah, we know what VR games are. There were all kinds of games available now. FPS, dancing games, even X-rated ones.
He sounds way too interesting.
The VR gear was the big thing these days, and the good ones were all so expensive. The one I got cost almost 10 grand. If I hadn't told my dad that I was buying this for research purposes, which technically wasn't entirely untrue, there's no way he would have bought it for me. I put the gear on. It was more like a helmet, really. It was quite heavy. However, wow, it did feel quite realistic. It was as if my body had entered the virtual world. It changed my position. That felt so good. Yeah. I tried all the tricks that I could. I was exhausted. Took off the gear and realized that Rocky had been up. He was wearing the smart glasses that I had bought a while ago and was looking right in my direction. My eyes widened in shock when I noticed a recording light blinking on the glasses. Rocky, what are you doing? The way you were playing looked too funny, so I decided to keep it for posterity. Record my ass, the automatic stream option was on. Wait, what? Streaming? I hurried over to my computer, logged into the streaming website, and checked my channel. Oh my gosh, everything has been broadcasted. There had been over 5 million viewers, and it went straight to the top of the rankings. The commenters had gone berserk. Everyone was screaming, pervert, tent in the pants. Somebody even said they would dox me. I was so screwed. Damn it, Jimmy.
Good job, Jimmy. Study for that test, I see. Sweet just had like his hand in his face there. Well, technically he was playing it on his own.
I mean, this is what I don't. Yeah.
His roommate just came into the room and started recording him. p.m. Warehouse 23, Port of Busan. The warehouse was half full. There was a half-full barrel in the middle of it that did not seem to belong here. I walked towards it to check its contents. As I was expected, it wasn't filled with asphalt. A person had been stuck inside. It was a very muscular man. He was barely breathing. This morning at work, I had received an express delivery. There was nothing but a photo in the envelope, and a time and a location written on its back. The same barrel was in the center of the photo. It was the exact same spot I was looking right now with my own eyes. I heard scurrying footsteps near the gate, and a clinking sound of guns. Ross 23 growled and listened to the game. Could not have been more obvious as the trap set up for me by Choi Yoko. Yet I had with them. When the muscular man and I were tied together, sitting on the ground with our backs against each other. The two guards were in charge of us and watching had been waiting for their replacement, but they were so sleepy they could barely keep their eyes open. It was pretty late after all. Anyone who had to watch two middle-aged men like us get sleepy. I quietly kept rope the razor blade glued to my sleeve while the guards were dozing off. Then I grabbed the Glock 43 I hid in my pant leg and covered it with my palms. AKG-43, semi-automatic pistol produced by the Australian weapon manufacturer. The standard magazine has a capacity of 6. G43 is a slimline version of the subcompact Glock 26 that features a ultra-compact slide and frame, which is the smallest one in the series. The extension of the end of the magazine provides additional support on the pinky finger, helping improve accuracy. Accuracy, stability, and compactness have made it one of the favorites of the English undercover detectives and private security officers. After years of police work around here, I knew every single warehouse at the port like the back of my hand. All the warehouses from 15 to number 25 were large, usually filled with lots of huge cargo containers. If there were reinforcements outside to distract them, I should be able to defend myself even with 6 bullets. They were not the only ones waiting for their prey tonight. This was all part of my plan. There was a shoddy clock on the wall of the warehouse. It made a ticking noise every time my hand moved. The hour hand was almost at 12, and the minute hand was 7 minutes away from it. I gave the muscular man a signal and his palm behind my back and waited patiently. I handed the gun to him. Lots of noises were coming from outside the warehouse. It sounded like a lot of people in cars. At the same moment, a hand also at 12. We both stood up and ran towards the back of the warehouse. However, I didn't expect the muscular man to suddenly trip and fall after only a few steps. His legs were presumably numb and stiff after being cramped up for so long. The 2 guards were wide awake now. Multiple gunshots echoed inside the warehouse. They never intended to let us out of here alive. There's certainly no reason to hold back anymore. I felt a little bit floating all over the muscular man's body right in front of me. Fuck you all. You monster! Bastards! Motherfuckers! Go to hell! Turn around and raise my gun. Try not to yell at you. Chaos, a bullet hit my thigh. Suddenly all the other bullets still flying in the air seemed to be moving in slow motion. They were so slow I couldn't even see their rotation, and the vapor trails after them. I realized he had woken up. When I woke up, I was laying in a cheap motel somewhere. I had changed into some clean clothes. There was a half-eaten sandwich and orange juice on the nightstand. I opened my left fist. I suspected there was a note, a message that looked like it had been written by a child. These new clothes cost 50,000. I survived. But Choi Yo-han got what he wanted to again. I I lost another important person in my life again. But yeah. I can change the. Oh God.
Yeah, bring it over to
But okay, I always have to do this. I have to switch them perfectly and see what happens. Perhaps they were desperate to try and stay awake. The guards started watching porn together on their phone. Just in case their legs were too stiff to run. The muscular man and I quiet shifted around a bit to loosen up our legs. Lots of noises were coming up from outside the warehouse. It sounded like a lot of people and cars. At the same moment, the minute hand also hit 12. We stood up and ran towards the back of the warehouse. By the time the two guards noticed we were gone, we were already taking cover behind the cargo containers. Any time now, just a little longer. The guard with a gun was walking towards the end of the warehouse. The other one was behind him. I needed to stall a little longer. I couldn't let them come closer. I stared at their stretched shadows on the ground. I had the barrel of my gun peeking out from behind the containers. Then I pulled the trigger. My first shot hit the right hand of the guard in front. Seeing their partner hurt and screaming in pain, the other guard stopped moving towards us out of fear. Then the garage gate slowly opened. They were here, right on time. Looks like that worked out pretty well for him.
This game was so nauseating. I made the right decision to have my partner carry the gun. It was so wise. But the game felt super boring if you weren't actually shooting something. I took the 10 grand helmet off and threw it back into the drawer. Rocky was still snoring in his bed. He had probably stayed up last night again for a soccer game. Never mind him. I was going to head out and roam the streets now. Put on the smart glasses that I had bought a while ago and snuck out of school into the real three-dimensional world.
부처님, 나도 좀 도와줘요.
젠장, 어떻게 이럴 수가?
So, I guess that's it for today. We successfully stopped. I don't even know when we stopped today.
If Jimmy is the one that thought up the cat in his body, was that cat real?
Wait, who?
Jimmy
Jimmy didn't think a Spotty was the Park Sing-gun. But Spotty's the one that was saying about. I'm pretty sure the cat's real. He's able to write letters to us. I'm very confused about Park Sing-gun because one of the letters I encountered last night on my game. So I guess we get there and then we can figure out more about him. But I feel like there's enough evidence to like contradict what the doctor was saying about him. Just because Spotty saw the wounds on his back. So you can't say that Park Sing-gun's crazy and wasn't wounded. On Park Sing-gun? I don't think that she's met Park Sing-gun. It is a boy. Okay.
Oh, so the boy is Alicia knows the
Yeah. Park Sing-gun's a little kid. She was talking about a 15-year-old.